And most importantly, you're on Forbes Newsroom here, so all my viewers get to see you and all your platform points. But the front runner of this race is Donald Trump. And earlier this month, as you know, he was indicted over his alleged mishandling of classified documents. Do you think the former president's handling of classified documents could impact our relationship with allies or world powers in general?
Well, I think it's not just President Trump. I mean, we've at least had reported that Vice President Pence, President Biden, we know that Hillary Clinton with the email server, President Trump. As someone's coming from tech, I'm like, do we have a document management problem? I mean, if you've got people that are leading our country and you've got sensitive documents and then you're leaving office, we should be able to figure out a way to actually make that work so that we don't spend our time as a country talking about some documents, obviously important documents, but that's what we're talking about. Of course, China, Russia, they love it when the United States in our democracy is spending all of our time talking about things like these documents as opposed to talking about the things that really matter to world peace, global stability, economy, things that, the things that are touching every American. So, again, I part of is how do we run this country in a way where we aren't distracted by things that are just basically small operational details. The CEO and any chairman, I've been CEO and chairman of companies for over 20 years. All of those companies have got confidential documents that are, that are important to those companies. Now we're talking about national security documents. We should have the best documents management processes of any country in the world. I mean, we're the leading innovation, leading tech company in the world. So it's kind of mystifying to me that somehow we're talking about this thing and we're not solving the root problem going forward. In our administration, we will make sure that we've got document management nailed and that nobody ever has to talk about it again so that we can actually talk about the things that matter to us and our allies. I mean, this administration is buying energy from our adversaries as opposed to us selling it to our allies. That's what we should be talking about.
I know that you said this was a small operational detail, but those photos released from the unsealed indictment were pretty damning. They show boxes of documents in a bathroom, in a bedroom, in a ballroom. So let's say you saw the way these documents were kept from a former foreign leader. What would your reaction be?
Well, I think, again, here we are, Brittany, we're still talking about documents. When a leading executive leaves office in the United States, there ought to be a process, a team, a checklist, barcodes, something so that we never even find ourselves in this situation. I mean, this is totally a manageable operational thing, and the fact that we're, wrapped around the axle talking about this, any minute we're talking about this, the Chinese, who are in a Cold War, we're in a Cold War with China, and we're actually at war with Russia. We just haven't sent troops yet. We're sending material, we're sending funding, we're sending advisors, and of course, and then we put sanctions on Russia and we lower their price by 20%. So what? So they can sell all their oil and gas to China. So, our sanctions are actually allowing China to buy energy below the world price while we pay full price. I mean, that's what we should be talking about, is the things that are actually affecting us. High energy prices affect every consumer, anybody who drives to work, anybody who buys a product. Inflation is cutting into everybody's buying power, and we just have to get the conversation back on the things the federal government is supposed to do. And then these little operational things, I'm the only person who's been in technology and in software and has been a governor that is running for this office. These are things that we won't have to talk about when I'm president, because we'll be talking about the things that matter in this world.
Let's talk about those things that matter, because there are a litany of issues coming up that Americans really care about. You said something that really struck me. You said we are in a war with Russia right now. Under a Burgum presidency, what would your relationship with Vladimir Putin look like?
Well, I think we have to get back to the position of operating from strength. And of course, the U.S. economy is over 10 times the size of Russia. The one thing they have that allows them to do what they're doing is energy. When they get all of Western Europe, our allies, the people who, fathers and grandfathers of Americans fought and died in Western Europe to free Western Europe, and then we develop a policy where, okay, get all of your energy from Russia, create dependence on Russia, and then he can act at will. I mean, we have to have economic statecraft that goes along with our diplomacy, that goes along with our military force, because it's not about us just having a bigger defense budget. It's about us actually having secure supply chains and us being the energy powerhouse that provides energy to our allies. When I was on a trade mission in Japan in October, while we were there, North Korea shot a missile over the top of the island. And of course, that's concerning, but here's 126 million people at one time before China passed and was the second largest economy in the world, and our biggest ally and our biggest trading partner, important ally since World War II with the United States, and they import 100% of their oil and gas. And they can't get oil and gas from the United States because we can't build a pipeline to the West Coast. They common sense, they complete common sense. If we want to be energy independent, we should be supplying it to all 50 states, and we've got the capacity to supply it to our allies. And if we did that, China and Russia wouldn't have the leverage over us we do. China wouldn't be building, a base in Cuba right now, like Russia did in the 1960s, if we had any kind of strength in our foreign policy. And strength in foreign policy is always tied to economy and energy policy.